And we are back live right here, Brooks Landscaping. And this video is going to be for homeowners, helping you identify landscape drainage problems and the reasons why we're helping homeowners save tens of thousands of dollars with our custom dry creek beds. That's right, these custom dry creek beds allow for you to be able to deal with the water that would have been coming from your neighbor's yards, guys. That's right, a lot of the water that we see on the landscapes oftentimes comes from the neighbor's yard, and that just means that the water would have been positioned when the entire landscape development was created in order to be able to flow through multiple different neighbors' yard in order to be able to make its way to the storm creek. So if you're a homeowner and you're looking for a way to be able to identify for yourself if you're gonna be able to see landscape drainage problems, well, first you have to identify where the water is coming from. And so on this landscape, we were able to identify that the water was coming from here by the neighbor's yard. And so we came up with a solution that allowed for a two-tier type retaining wall system, but with the dry creek bed. That's right. So typically you would have put in something that allowed for you to stop the water, and people always want to go to a dry creek bed, but you can't use the dry creek bed where water flows to the path of least resistance, guys. It just doesn't work. So you have to come up with a solution, and that is the custom dry creek bed. What the dry creek bed allows for us to be able to do is to appropriate the water as it moves on the landscape, coming from the neighbor's yard as well as from the back of this customer's landscape, and then appropriating it into the beautiful dry creek bed that takes the water into a specific area and then takes it to another area on the landscape so that it can take it off of the landscape without ever deteriorating the existing dirt. And that's one of the ways in which we've been able to give our customers back the landscape, is by providing them with a solution that solves the landscape drainage problem. Now, if you're a homeowner, some of the signs that you must look for when purchasing a home is to identify how close you are to the creek. Now, this homeowner was extremely close to the creek and they didn't understand it, and so if they did, they probably wouldn't have purchased their home. But it also says that the homeowner has a tremendous amount of erosion that's coming from their neighbor's yard. Now, remind you, this home is less than 6 months old, but we see erosion patterns that are evident of that of what we see in a 25-year-old home. And so it becomes very important as homeowners that you identify whether or not you're going to be in a position where you have to spend tens of thousands of dollars on your outdoor living experience just to solve a landscape drainage problem. Now, putting a custom patio in is one thing, or providing yourself with an outdoor living space is another thing. But having to do so because of the amount of water that moves through your backyard is something that can be prevented. Now, one of the ways that you can do so is by making sure that you educate yourself and get a landscape drainage solutions inspection the same way you do for your new home. That's going to help you identify where the water is moving on your landscape and help you identify what's going to be necessary in the next several years in order to be able to ensure that your landscape is able to sustain the water that's going to be moving on it. Now, as I take you to where this water is going to be going, you will be surprised to know that all of the water that comes out of the sky is designed to go behind this customer's house, guys. So all the water is going behind this individual's home, and it moves all the way through multiple different landscapes. As you can see, this landscape is on the hillside, so all the water falls down this way, then it keeps moving, then it goes behind this customer's landscape. And then it also says that a lot of these lots that are being built, just as this homeowner right here said, they picked out this lot. So it does say that there's enough information that needs to be given that helps identify whether or not you should be picking a lot where your homeowner, or rather your neighbor, is right there beside you, and then all the water is able to fall through your landscape. But that's just not the only problem this landscape has. We have a tremendous amount of water that's coming from other neighbors' yard, and it's moving through this landscape. And what it did cause is it caused a washout right here. So this area right here was able to wash out, and then all that dirt went down to path of least resistance here. But as you can see with this hillside, if you were a homeowner and you had to pick out a lot, you wouldn't pick one out that was at the lowest point of the landscape, and you wouldn't pick one out that had a hillside behind you, because it just doesn't allow for you to be able to enjoy your outdoor living experience for a lifetime. Now, you can see by the way that this entire landscape has been created in storm drain that the water moves through this individual's backyard even when it's raining. And so as a homeowner, it's necessary for you to understand how you can help prevent this by being able to provide yourself with a landscape drainage solution such as this custom dry creek bed. Now this custom dry creek bed design, what it's going to allow for you to be able to do, guys, is position yourself so that the water that would have once been moving from the neighbor's yard, as well as that which would have been moving from behind this particular area here that you see, it does say that now it's going to be able to be taken into this drain box, this dry creek bed that acts like a drain box, and then it's going to be able to be taken through this path. And then what the river rock does is it sucks up the water. So we're going to be sucking up a tremendous amount of water as we find ourselves moving to the path of least resistance, and that just gives us a way to ensure that the customer doesn't have to worry about that water being able to stand on the landscape. But this is all necessary because of the way in which the water is moving on this landscape. That's right, we have more than just one way. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All of these areas is where water is moving to the path of least resistance. And so as you can see within this design here, the water that comes out of the sky, it falls to this path of least resistance right here, and then it falls into this area. And so now we're going to be able to take it into a custom dry creek bed. This entire area that you see right here, we're going to be able to bring in the beautiful decorative gravel. And the decorative gravel is necessary because it's going to be able to suck up the water that would have been moving through this existing grass. And you can tell that there's a lot of erosion because anytime you see your grass start to wither away, guys, that helps you identify that there's a lot of erosion happening. And so this landscape is less than that of 6 months old, meaning that the home was built less than 6 months ago, and they're still building homes in this neighborhood as we speak. But it also says that in building these homes, there's a tremendous amount of erosion taking place just based on the way that they're having to build them, which is on terrain that has a tremendous amount of slopes and or dealing with the neighborhood that has a creek and a lot of natural landscapes around it. And so what we've been able to do is provide this customer with a solution to be able to deal with the water that's coming from the neighbor's yard, as they're also at a low point, and we're going to be able to move it through this landscape in the most effective way through our custom dry creek bed. And I wanted you guys to be able to see as homeowners how that process takes place and what we do in order to prepare. Now, one of the things that we do that allows for us to be able to ensure that we're going to be able to stop that water from getting into the bare dirt is we install what's called an erosion control fabric. So it's similar to a silk fence type fabric, but it's necessary because it allows for us to be able to ensure that that water stays atop of the ground. So now it's just going to be able to move through our river rock as it goes through this dry creek bed. But let me show you exactly what our river rock looks like so that you can have a better idea of what I mean when I say that it's going to move through this river rock. So as you can see here, this river rock is going to be of a size of 6 to 8 inches. And so when you put this type of river rock in a design, guys, it allows for you to be able to ensure that you're sucking up a tremendous amount of water. And so this is the rock that we're going to be using, a 6 to 8 inch Tennessee river rock that's going to be able to suck up the water that moves through the dry creek bed. This is our beautiful decorative gravel that we use in order to be able to suck up water in areas where we would have once had pine straw. Now, as you can see within this landscape design, we're back out here again for a second time. We were just here a month ago, and we put in this beautiful landscape design that allowed for us to take the cobblestone edging along with the beautiful decorative gravel and provide this customer with a solution that went all the way around their home. And we didn't stop there. We also went through the landscape and provided them with a solution that went to the front yard. So if you take a look at this landscape, you'll notice that the beautiful cobblestone installation that we provided for the customer, it allowed for them to waterproof the foundation of their landscape, solving the landscape drainage problem, but it also allowed for them to acquiesce their outdoor living experience and curb appeal to their existing home. What happened was this beautiful decorative river rock and or decorative gravel, along with this beautiful custom design of our stone edging, allow for us to be able to acquiesce that with the customer's home in the most exceptional fashion. By being able to do that, it allowed for us to be able to give them a one-time solution to their outdoor living needs when it came to their flower beds. Now, this beautiful design also allowed for us to be able to enhance their beautiful flower bed, and it gave their landscape a tremendous amount of contour while also being able to waterproof the foundation foundation of your home. That's right. A lot of times, guys, what we like to do up against the foundation of a home is position ourselves to be able to put in the beautiful decorative gravel along with the line of our beautiful cobblestone edging. Now this edging also has a mortar mix inside of it that allows for us to be able to ensure its stability, but this is the way in which we continue to grow and give our customers more service than that of what's expected, because we're going to come out and provide an amazing landscape design for something that you wanted. But it wasn't until Hurricane Helene came that the customer was able to see that although I was able to identify the landscape drainage problem in the backyard, it wasn't until the water started to move throughout this entire landscape and start to cause problems that the customer was able to see that they needed our services. That's going to be the same for this customer as well. It wasn't until they were able to see this happen that they needed our services. And that's also going to be the case for every home in this neighborhood, because what we're saying, guys, it's unprecedented. It says that a lot of these lots, they're built in an area where the water would have had no choice but to fall off the path of least resistance in their backyard, and it's moving to a storm drain and or a creek. And so as you can see, this entire area that's fenced off is going to be the creek area. So as a homeowner, it's necessary that you make sure that you don't position yourself to be the individual that purchased the house that's at the bottom of the hill that has all the water moving through it, because it's just going to cost you tens of thousands of dollars in order to keep your outdoor living experience something that you would want to come home to. Now, it also says that in doing so, you can waterproof the outdoor living experience by providing this beautiful decorative gravel along with this tree ring. It ensures that this customer never has to worry about dealing with the landscape in this area again. And that's also to be said when it comes to the beautiful decorative gravel, but it also goes when it comes to the dry creek bed. So by doing these landscape drainage solutions sooner rather than later, you're going to save yourself a tremendous amount of money, and it also gives you an opportunity of what to look for when you're thinking about purchasing a home. You want to make sure that you're not in a position to where you're literally at the bottom of the hill, guys. That's right. The water is now moving to the path of least resistance just out of the sky. We're not even talking about the water that comes off the gutter downspouts. We're talking about the water that just comes off the sky. That water is going to be falling to the path of least resistance on your landscape, effectively making it impossible for you to ever have grass that does well. And as you can see, just based on the way that this grass looks, it absolutely has been deteriorated over time due to the erosion that's happening on this hillside. So one of the things that you can do is, if you're going to pick out a lot on a landscape, make sure that you don't pick the one that's going to be finding the tremendous amount of water going through it. And you're going to know, because you're going to see the same way that you see this rift going through the customer's backyard. That's the way that the developer set up the entire neighborhood so that the water would be able to move down to the creek that's going to be on the other side of this house. And so these are just things that you want to make sure that you're consulting with a landscape drainage professional for, because it does say that you're going to have to put in a custom dry creek bed in order to solve your landscape drainage problem. Then it also says that you want to make sure that you understand the magnitude to which you're going to have that problem solved. And that's what we're talking about at Brooks Landscaping. We're talking about providing homeowners with a solution that helps them identify ways in which to deal with water that's moving onto their landscape from their neighbor's yard. In this case, it has everything to do with building a custom dry creek bed that allows for us to be able to reappropriate that water in the most effective manner by getting it off the landscape. And so now that water is going to be able to be taken through a dry creek bed and taken all the way off the back side of the landscape, effectively giving this customer a solution that's going to last a lifetime. And that's what you have to be prepared for when you think about a landscape drainage solution, guys. Is how do we identify where the water is coming from, and then most importantly, what is necessary to get this off of my landscape. Now, as you can see, we did that in an effective manner with this custom design. The water that would have been coming in right here, as you can see, this is a low spot, is now going to be taken through this custom design that's going to have the beautiful decorative river rock that I showed you earlier as a way to be able to slow that water down. In addition, it's also going to be able to take that water, as you can see, we're down about 3 to 4 inches in depth in order to be able to allow that water to move through this landscape. But it's definitely a feat of engineering and a marvel of engineering that has allowed for us to be able to give our customers so much more quality and quantity of service than that of what could have ever been expected. Only at Brooks Landscaping, where we make dirt look good like you never thought we could. So if you're a homeowner and you're looking for a better way to ensure that you can save thousands of dollars on your landscape, start by identifying whether or not you're going to have a landscape drainage problem just by seeing whether or not you're at the lowest point of your neighbor's yard, or identifying whether or not your neighbor's yard is providing you with a tremendous amount of water entering into your yard. If that's the case, then you may be in need of a custom dry creek bed. I'm going to show you what this looks like once we finish, but I had to make sure I did a live video for all of our friends over at our YouTube channel so that you can see what it looks like before we get started on the landscape, and then also how to identify when you need a dry creek bed, where there's a tremendous amount of water that had already taken out the dirt on this landscape. So we knew that there was water that was moving on this landscape. What the dry creek bed does is it sucks that water up and then it appropriates it to a specific area so that we don't see it continuing to move on the landscape like it once did. In addition, we're also going to be putting in the beautiful decorative gravel here. And what that decorative gravel does is it allows for us to suck up the water that's going to be moving off the path of least resistance. And then, of course, the erosion control fabric. We're talking about a silk fence type fabric, guys. This fabric, absolutely fundamental when it comes to installing any type of decorative gravel or any type of aggregate. It says that now once that water moves through this grass, as you can see, it also has been impacted by the erosion of the water moving through this grass. And this home has only been here for 6 months, guys. But as it moves, it's now going to have to be taken through this beautiful decorative gravel that we're going to install right here. And then it's also going to be taken through this custom dry creek bed that we're going to be installing for the customer, that's going to give them back the landscape in a way that they never seen possible before. So as a homeowner, it's necessary for you to understand that a landscape drainage solution like this could cost you. But it also says that if you can identify this before you purchase your home, you may not buy it. Or if you can identify this as soon as you purchase your home, you may save tens of thousands of dollars. And so these are just some of the ways in which we're helping our homeowners save money by being able to give them a solution that they can count on. And that's what we do each and every day right here at Brooks Landscaping. It's the reason we become one of the highest rated landscaping companies around, because we truly do come up with cost-effective landscape drainage solutions that last a lifetime. This isn't something that we're ever going to have to do again for this customer, because it says that once we're finished, they're going to have a beautiful custom dry creek bed design using some of the world's greatest aggregate, that being of the Tennessee boulders. And it's going to allow for us to be able to ensure that we fight Mother Nature with Mother Nature. So if you want to begin to solve your drainage problems, don't look to anything other than that of what's going to be a drainage solution. And that's going to require you to use some type of aggregate, some type of rock, some type of design that allows you to suck up the water. Sometimes you can put a dry drain box in. In this case, a drain box wasn't possible, so we went with the design that allowed for us to put in a dry creek bed, so that as the water moves throughout this 150 linear feet area, it's able to be sucked up in the most appropriate way. But that's just what we do right here at Brooks Landscaping, and it's the reason we become the highest rated landscaping company around. Stay tuned, folks. Come on, Sapo. Woo! Baby. Back at it again, folks, right here at Brooks Landscaping. Woo! It's cold, guys. It's cold. Even in the cold, we are out here making dirt look good, giving our customers an amazing landscape transformation. But I can tell you, my hands are about to freeze off. I don't have them anymore. And that's what it's like when you're a landscape professional, guys. You find yourself out here during the coldest time of the year, the hottest time of the year, and you're always giving customers an amazing landscape transformation. And that's what we got going on today. So stay tuned, folks. I can't wait to show you the amazing landscape transformation of this beautiful custom dry creek bed. Oh, God. Oh, gosh. Say that again, buddy.